Okay, there are other things that kind of scare them away, but basically the silver bullet is kind of do the trick. How about this monster? How about zombies? Hate it when I run into zombies when I'm out in the woods. But how do you actually kill zombies? Now, I did some internet research because I wanted to know, how does it get done? And while there's some controversy, two things that seem to work for sure are shooting them at point-blank range, which blows me away because aren't they like already dead? But anyway, shooting them and beheading. If you behead a zombie, it's pretty much a sure bet you're gonna actually kill them. And then one final monster you could come across, brace yourself. I hesitate to show this image, perhaps the scariest of all. A wicked witch from Mars. Because you never know when you're going to, and there are two known ways to kill a wicked witch from Oz. What's one?
Drop a house.
A house. If you drop a house on a wicked witch, gone. No doubt about it. And then we remember the end of the movie, right? How else can you kill a wicked witch?
Throw water.
Water. Yeah, I'm melting. Remember that whole thing? Yeah, absolutely. Okay? So these are the common monsters we might face out there in the woods. We've got the vampires and the werewolves and the zombies and the wicked witches. But here's one we can encounter absolutely anywhere, and that's the monster of worry. Yeah, worry is like a monster, isn't it? I mean, it terrorizes our lives, or at least it can. It can destroy things that are really, really precious. But unlike the other monsters, this one is not legend, it's not fictitious, it's not myth, it's not story, it's real. And it's not just in the woods, it's everywhere. It's in our homes, and it's in the marketplace, and it's in the neighborhood, and it's even in the church. I mean, how do you kill the monster of worry? Once and for all. Today we're on the final leg of a little three-part journey in discussing the subject of worry. 2 weeks ago we basically learned that the most common root of worry is a devotion to the material world. That's what Jesus taught. See, there are basically two worlds. There's the material world and there's the spiritual world. Both worlds matter. Both worlds are important. But we're going to put one as a priority over the other. We all do. We're either going to put a priority on the material world and therefore sacrifice the spiritual, or we're going to put a priority on the spiritual world and therefore make some sacrifices in the material. And Jesus said, if we are more devoted to the material world than the spiritual world, then worry is going to be endemic to your existence. It's going to happen. Because when it comes to the material world, everything we would pursue in it is uncertain we'll ever get it. When it comes to the material world, anything we get in the material world could easily be lost due to no choices of our own. And no matter what we get in the material world, it can never deliver on a quality life. Consequently, if we're devoted to the material world, our lives are going to be filled with uncertainty. It's going to be punctuated with insecurity, and we're never going to truly be satisfied. Worry can only grow up in that situation. So if you really want to pull out the root of worry, then what we need to do is have a greater devotion to the spiritual world than the material world. Last week in the interview with Travis and Gia Key, we learned that all of us face a number of uncertainties as we look at tomorrow. There are so many things that we simply do not know for sure will happen. But we can learn how to live with uncertainty and not worry. Because worry is actually a choice. And we can learn not to make the choice of worrying about tomorrow's uncertainties. We learn that by acting responsibly and counting on God, we can actually face all the uncertainties of life and be calm, centered, and clear-headed. And today what we want to do is we want to say, well, those remnants of worry that still exist in our life, how can we kill them once and for all? And Jesus offered a very simple, very straightforward answer. He said, look, if you want to kill worry, have faith in God. It's just that simple. If you will have faith in God, if you will trust Him with life's uncertainties, if you will trust Him to provide your needs and your hopes, that can drive all anxiety, all worry out of our lives. See, according to Jesus, whenever there is a lack of faith, there is a presence of worry. Whenever there is the presence of faith, there is a diminishment and absence of worry. Faith kills worry. In fact, as Jesus walked through that Matthew 6 passage, where he talked about the flowers of the field and the birds of the air, and God feeds the birds, and God clothes the flowers of the field, he made a very poignant statement that really got to the crux of the matter, and is found in verse 30, where Jesus said, if that is how God clothes the grass of the field, which is here today and tomorrow is thrown into the fire, how much more will he clothe you? Oh, you of what? Little faith. He's saying, here's why you're freaking out. Here's why you're worried. Here's why you've got anxiousness. Here's why your stomach is all in knots as you face uncertainty in the future. You're not exercising faith in God. In fact, you know what's fascinating about this verse? When Jesus said, oh, you of little faith, those two words in English, little faith, are actually one word in the original Greek. And it literally means little faither. It's almost like Jesus was going, you know, isn't God going to take care of you, you little faither? You just a little faither. And what's also fascinating about this word is this word was never found in any classical Greek before that day, and it's never found in any Greek after that day. It's the only time it was ever used. In fact, Jesus seems to have made up the word. Consequently, when I make up words, I'm just being Christ-like. I want you to know that. Being like Jesus, I'm making words up. That's what he seemed to do. He said, here's why you're all freaked out. Because your faith is little. You're not exercising real faith in God. Because faith will drive out worry. Now, I basically want to make two simple observations this morning. The first observation that I'd like to make is simply this. If we don't overcome worry, it will take us places we don't want to go. It is. If we allow worry to be a player in our internal world, worry will drive us to places that we never dreamed of being and that we never wanted to go. There's a powerful story in Israelite history that demonstrates this reality. It was a guy, he was a prophet. He was like a really spiritual guy. His name was Elijah. And at the time that Elijah was a prophet, getting messages from God and delivering to people, about direction, sometimes about judgment, sometimes warning them, to walk in the ways of God so that life might go better. In the days that Elijah was a prophet, there was a very wicked, unrighteous, cruel tyrant who was the king. His name was Ahab. As bad as he was, his wife was worse. Her name was Jezebel, a word that we use even today to describe women who are like really, really wicked, mean, and bad. Jezebel. And because of the way they were leading the nation, things were going bad. God said, well, you know what? To kind of drive you to me, I'm going to send a drought on the land. And so for 3 years, there was a drought. Water dried up. Crops wouldn't grow. It was bad. And at the end of that 3 years, God said to Elijah, okay, now I'm going to make it rain, but we're going to have a little showdown first. And what I want you to do is I want you to go up to Ahab and say, hey, Ahab, I want you to assemble all of your main spiritual guys. All the religious guys you know that are basically just talking about false gods and other religions other than the true God. I want you to gather them on top of a mountain, Mount Carmel. We're going to have a little showdown.